had this really nice campsite by this cornfield, really nice big farm at the Winklepleck campground just outside of Sugarcreek. And the crazy thing was not another soul in this campground. It's very reasonable. It's, $25 a night for electricity. You got 30 amp service. It's nice facilities. Everything's clean and well maintained and well kept. But not another soul in the place. That's the first time I've ever experienced this at a campground, and just find it kind of odd that right in the middle of tourist season and nobody's here. So we're just enjoying it by ourselves. I think we'll just play a little bit of disc golf here in a little bit.
The campground had a freshwater filling station by the pavilion, and it also had some nice playground areas for the kids and everything. So yeah, it's still kind of a mystery why nobody's here. Just as we were ready to turn in for the evening, we heard something outside, looked out the window, and seen there was a fireworks display going on just over the ridge. So we walked back outside and checked it out. It lasted for about 10 minutes, and that was pretty cool. Again, we were the only ones in this campground. It was kind of like we sat there in our chairs and had this little private fireworks display. We got our plan together for the next morning, and obviously the first thing would be Amish Country Donuts, where they have donuts as big as your head. We then made our way down to downtown Sugarcreek, where we had to check out the world's largest cuckoo clock. It was pretty cool, and some of the stores down there was neat too. They had a neat little alpine museum you could go into. One of the #1 attractions in downtown Sugarcreek has got to be the world's largest cuckoo clock. Each hour, the guys come out and play a little song, and I don't know, it usually lasts, seems like about 10 minutes. The song went on for about, 4 or 5 minutes on this cuckoo clock, so I cut it down to about 40 seconds because you kind of get the gist of it here. This is definitely a unique attraction, but then it was time for all the good little Oompa band members to go back and go to bed for the next hour.
What'd you think about it?
That was just awesome.
Just outside of Sugarcreek, we saw there was an Amish baseball game going on, and we were going to stop, but it looked like the parking lot was full. You can't visit this part of the country without going into some of the cheese shops. I think we hit 4 or 5 just in a matter of a couple days, and they were all fantastic and had their own unique products. The Gugasburg Cheese Factory was probably one of our favorites. They also had the world champion baby Swiss cheese that we had to, of course, purchase a little round of that. Boyd and Worthman Restaurant is a can't miss if you're in the Berlin, Ohio area. Well, after a hard day of sightseeing, of course we needed to head back to Sugarcreek and hit the Swiss Heritage Winery. We had a really good time there. They had live music, and the outside patio was perfect. we awoke to another beautiful morning in Sugarcreek and headed over to the farm at Walnut Creek. We had a good time here. We just drove the truck through, but you can take a horse-drawn carriage, or sometimes they have tractors pulling wagons that people get on. There's picnic areas. They've got a ton of animals. I guess it's like over 500 from all over the world, and it's pretty neat. You can feed most of the animals and just kind of get up close to them, kind of like a drive-through safari. So I would definitely recommend this. It was a pretty nice place.
Oh boy. Should I give him more?
Yeah, if you want to.
No, he'll try to come in.
No, you won't. Give him a little bit more.
All right.
Just a handful.
That mirror's getting him. That's cool. You scared me. Hey, stop, Jim. Anything for you. I don't have anything for you. Sorry.
We're ready for this one.
Be sure to keep your eyes open though. You never know when a buffalo might sneak up on you.
Oh shit.
What?
You scared the crap out of me.
our last morning in Sugarcreek. We were ready to hit the road and head to Mogadore, Ohio, just off of the Mogadore Reservoir. Little did we know this would be the last trip for the Bigfoot search vehicle. Just didn't have the power we needed to make it up over the mountains, and we found that out in North Carolina. We had a nice campsite here. It was close to the Mogadore Reservoir, which was a pretty nice place to get the kayaks wet. If you're ever around this area, we would definitely suggest Mike's. Any place with its own X-Wing fighter out front's got to be good. We stopped by the Goodyear hangar. It's pretty nondescript, but we found it, and fortunately there was even a blimp outside. You definitely need to check out the Maze Valley Winery. They have some great wine slushies and a really good selection of draft beer, and then you can finish it off with hand-dipped ice cream from the Hartville Chocolate Factory. Hartville Kitchen, Restaurant, and Bakery is also a really great place to stop. They have a big dinner theater and some really cool 3D pictures that was hanging on the wall. Definitely recommend this place. We decided to get the next morning started with a stop at Fred's Diner. This is an Akron, Ohio classic destination. They have huge portions, cheap prices, and when you order bacon, you get a pile of bacon. We really enjoyed Burning River Adventures as well. All you have to do here is book online and show up ready for a great adventure. They provide the ride up the river on a bus, the boat, the life jacket, and the paddle. Everybody that worked here was really friendly and helpful, and it was really nice that when you got back down here to where the boat ramp was, they would even help you get out of the river and help you out of your kayak and everything. They call it the Burning River because I guess at one point the Cuyahoga was so polluted it actually caught on fire before. Of course, everything's cleaned up now, and it was really a great trip. There's a couple spots that was a little bit of swift water that was fun to go through, but pretty much just a leisurely day kayaking down the river. We really enjoyed our trip through the Cuyahoga Valley. We stopped at some farmers markets and seen some historical sites. One of the things we really enjoyed was the Hale Farm and Museum. It's a living history museum that has potters and glass blowers and blacksmiths, and everybody was really nice and really informative, and you could really learn a lot of the history of this area just by talking to them. Of course, with all the agriculture and farming in Ohio, we had to stop by the Smucker's Canning Facility Visitor Center. Did you know you can't buy mixed fruit jelly in jars? It only comes in the little packets in restaurants. Our destination for the next week was Hocking River RV Park, of course, located on the Hocking River. We were disappointed with the river access at this campground. You pretty much had to climb over a 10-foot cliff in order to get your kayaks in the water.
You look like you're working hard.
I'm working really hard. That's why I need to go to the winery.
Oh, the Hocking Hills Winery, what? We need to pull off there.
We're pretty excited to spot a bald eagle on the way up the Hocking River too. If you look close, it's right in the middle of the screen up in the tree. It was a really easy paddle upstream from the campground. This section of the river is also pretty shallow, so be prepared to carry your kayaks a few times as you're headed upriver. Our next stop was Slaters Hardware at Lancaster, Ohio. Not only do they have all your typical hardware store stuff, they've got a huge selection of model airplanes and strongman equipment and just everything else you can think of. The one thing that we did not expect was to find out that they also raise monarch butterflies. They collected eggs from the milkweed plants, raised them from young caterpillars till they were full grown and ready to go through the process of turning into a butterfly. Really enjoyed meeting Luann and her staff and was amazed at how passionate they were about preserving the monarch butterfly in the Ohio area.
See it on the bottom?
Yep.
We really couldn't believe we were lucky enough to get there just as one of the caterpillars was ready to transform itself into the chrysalis. The whole process takes about 3 or 4 minutes, so I sped some of the sections of this up so you could see how it all happens. Of course, before we left, we had to purchase a couple of the chrysalises that was in the containers. To our amazement and right on schedule, one of them hatched when we were back at the campground on Saturday. The next morning we headed out to Lake Hope for another day filled with fun in the sun kayaking and checking out some of the nature around this area. One thing that's really pretty about Lake Hope is there is tons of these pink water lilies, but they are an invasive species and are not supposed to be here. Nevertheless, kayaking through some of these water lily infested areas is stunning, just to say the least. When in the Hocking Hills area, we would definitely recommend Brewery 33. However, Hocking Hills Winery, a little bit of a tourist trap as their stuff's really expensive. Honestly, we had no idea how much natural beauty there was in this part of Ohio. Any family could easily spend a week here in the summertime, hiking, canoeing, kayaking, swimming, just about anything you can think of. There's numerous state parks. This particular location is Ash Cave. There's also Cantwell Cliffs, Cedar Falls, Conkle's Hollow, Old Man's Cave, which is really cool. You've seen the pictures from Lake Hope State Park. It's just, unbelievable how many things there are to do around here. Here's a few pictures of Cedar Falls, although when we were there it was more of just like Cedar Trickle because it hasn't rained in a while in this area. Our next stop, Old Man's Cave. This is a really neat gorge cut through the entire 150-foot thickness of the Black Hand sandstone. It was really beautiful going through the valley down here, and some of the areas looked like scenes right out of the movie The Hobbit. But a word of caution, the climb out is intense, and it took us about 45 minutes. The next part of our journey was to cruise around central Ohio looking for some sunflower farms.
Here we are at Brandstool Orchards, and what's the name of this town? I don't know.
Utica is what we just...
Yeah, something around in there, but we're going to check out. They have a nice sunflower patch we're going to go down and check out, and as you can see behind us, there's a lot of apples on the tree, so we may have to pick a few apples while we're here.
And of course pay for them once we get inside the
store. Yes, I'm not going to reach through the fence and grab any by no means.
Here's some rare behind-the-scenes footage of how the magic is made. Well, unfortunately, their sunflower patch consisted of about one row of sunflowers about 4 feet high. Kind of disappointing, but we'll keep our hopes up. We see something better today. On the other hand, their apples in the orchard area was really nice. And they also had a really nice produce stand with all kind of fresh fruit and preserves and everything. Our next stop would be the Legend Hills Orchard and Farm Market. These folks had a really nice farm market as well, and it was kind of cool to drive through the orchard in order to get to the sunflower patch. Yes, now this is what I call a sunflower patch. This was really cool. These things were about 9 feet tall, and there was acres of them. this area was far enough away that I was able to get the drone out too. Oh, I think I spotted somebody down in the sunflower patch. And I think she spotted me too. Well, another short trip down the road to Hendren Farm Market. I'd have to say without question, this was one of the prettiest sunflower farms we went to. There must have been probably 10 acres of sunflowers, and they were all in just like it seemed like the peak bloom when we got there. One thing kind of cool to notice about these big fields is how the flowers actually do follow the sun. I'd have to say this is probably the most beautiful flower of them all. It was really nice to see that there's no shortage of honeybees in this area. We were back on the road again to go to Lind Fruit Farm in Utica, Ohio. Just like the rest of them, these guys had all kind of fresh fruits and vegetables and freshly made preserves and that kind of stuff. But we just didn't have any more room in the refrigerator for anything to take with us. Anyhow, we weren't here to fill the refrigerator. We were here for, yes, you guessed it, the sunflowers. What really made these guys stand out was they had a lot of heirloom variety sunflowers that were, deep maroon and some of them almost black. It was pretty cool. this pretty much wraps up our 2 weeks in Central Ohio. We really had no idea a lot of the stuff that we experienced was even there, and I would definitely recommend anybody to spend some time in this area. Plan on spending a week or so, and you'll have plenty to see and do. Well, it was finally time to hit the road again and head back home, but we did have one last surprise for when we got back to West Virginia. Because they know the schedule of when they're supposed to hatch by when they transform from the caterpillar to the chrysalis, we were actually able to take one home to my mom's and have one released there as well back in West Virginia. I guess I'm kind of like a father figure to these guys now. That's it. Be free, little one. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit us online for our travel blog at Searching for Solitude. Thanks.